everyone, welcome back or welcome to the Low Show. I'm your host, Lauren O'Brien, and today we have a very fun episode coming up. The halfway point of the WNBA season is approaching, which means that the All-Star game is coming up. And every year for the All-Star game, the WNBA lets their fans vote for who they want to see as All-Star starters. Now, the game will take place this year in Chicago, which I think is a phenomenal host city. Lots of women's basketball fans there. It actually happens to fall on the same weekend as Nike Girls EYBL Nationals in Chicago, so it's just going to be one big women's basketball weekend out in the Windy City. So the game will take place on the 25th at the United Center, and all the skills and three-point challenge will take place the day before on that Friday, the 24th, at Wintrust Arena, which is funny because Wintrust Arena is like 5 minutes from where the Nike Girls EYBL game is going on, which makes me think that the league is going to do something similar to what they did in 2022, where it was also the same weekend as Nike Nationals, and they had some of the best players on the Girls EYBL circuit partner with the All-Stars in the Skills Challenge, and they did the challenge together. And I remember that year, it was actually Sabrina Ionescu who won, with Zoe Brooks, who is a star point guard now at NC State, which it's super fun to see the pros be able to connect with the next generation of players. I think it's great for growing the game, and I hope they do something similar to that again. Now, for the fun part. For fan voting, everyone can actually vote once per day. So if you're like, oh my gosh, I love Paige Bueckers, I think that Paige Bueckers should be the number one most voted for player in all of the WNBA All-Star voting, I want to vote her every day, you can do that. And actually, on some days, your vote will count for two. The next double vote day that we have coming is on June 24th, so make sure you get your votes in by then, and make sure you vote on the 24th. And it's actually free to vote. If you have any questions about that, you just log in with your WNBA ID, and you can vote for 6 front court players, so that's like your post players and your forwards, and then 4 guards. And All-Star voting has been a little bit controversial in the past, just because you see a lot of players that maybe don't have the All-Star caliber stats, but they have a large following that actually do very well in fan voting. For instance, I think back to last year where Kate Martin actually finished 12th in WNBA All-Star voting. I love Kate Martin. I think she's a good player, but we all know that she's not necessarily the All-Star caliber player. She's not really on the same level as like A'ja Wilson and Breanna Stewart. So this year, fans actually account for only 50% of the vote, and the media gets another 25%. So that's going to be your analysts that you hear on TV. That's going to be news outlets like ESPN, CBS Sports, all of them will get another 25%. And then the last 25% is reserved for the players. So players will vote for each other, which I think is really interesting. Just note that this voting is for starters only. The reserves are decided by coaches, which I think is great because there's probably a lot of controversy with just fan voting. But I like that the coaches get to pick the other 12 All-Star players. So, without further ado, let's get straight into it. I filled out my ballot. I suggest you guys do too. But if you're like Lauren, I'm a little bit confused. I don't know who to vote for. Like, I haven't been following the WNBA as closely as I've wanted to this season. That's okay. I'll give you a couple pointers when filling out your brackets. So we're going to start here with the front court, where you get to vote for 6 front court players. And I'm going to start with my absolute locks for the front court, who you must vote for. Number 1 being A'ja Wilson. I don't think that's a surprise to anybody. She is the most dominant player in the WNBA and has been for most of her career. Obviously coming in this season on a tear, averaging 26 points a game, 9 rebounds a game with 3 assists a game, and then leading the Aces to the second best record in the West. A'ja Wilson, her accolades just go to show her sheer dominance. I mean, 4-time MVP, 3-time WNBA champion, Defensive Player of the Year, A'ja Wilson is arguably when her career is done, she might go down as the greatest player in WNBA history. No shade to Diana Taurasi or Maya Moore or whoever your GOAT is, but A'ja Wilson is one of the best WNBA players of all time, and she is showing us why again this season. She's an absolute lock. You must vote for her. I don't think much more needs to be said. My next lock for WNBA All-Star is Aaliyah Boston from the Indiana Fever. Obviously, Aaliyah Boston has been dominant throughout her whole career with the Fever. This season, especially, she's averaging 17 points a game with 9 rebounds a game. She's just a consistent double-double type player and really thrives in her role with the Fever. Her two-man game in the pick and roll with Caitlin Clark is just so gorgeous. And this season, actually, I do want to shout out Aaliyah Boston because I've been seeing her take some more threes. I love to see a post player be able to shoot it from out there. But Aaliyah Boston's best trait is her efficiency. Throughout her whole career, Aaliyah Boston has had one of the highest field goal percentages in the league. And that should not go unnoticed. Aaliyah Boston and the Fever have been off to an interesting start this season. Obviously, they are led by Caitlin Clark, but Aaliyah Boston is a huge part of their success and should be a WNBA All-Star. She is my second lock. Now, my next lock has to be Breanna Stewart from the New York Liberty. Similar to A'ja Wilson, her career is just all about winning. So many accolades. I mean, you go back to her time at UConn, obviously winning 4 straight national championships. Very impressive. Winning rings in Seattle, and then another one here in New York. Breanna Stewart is a phenomenal defender, a prolific scorer, and has led the Liberty to an 11-4 record, which is actually first in the East. I'm pretty confident that we will see the Aces in the Liberty in the Commissioner's Cup Championship coming up. I think the Liberty have actually locked down their spot in that game, and a big part of it is because of Breanna Stewart. I mean, she's 6'4" with a 7'1" wingspan. That is so absurd. Like, I don't understand how anybody is able to get a shot off against her. And then, of course, a great scorer. So, A'ja Wilson, Aaliyah Boston, and Breanna Stewart are 3 players that you must absolutely have on your ballot. Another lock of mine is a little bit interesting, and you might be a little confused when I say this at first, because if you haven't been paying attention to the WNBA this season, you haven't seen what Jessica Shepard is doing for the Dallas Wings. Jess Shepard was acquired in free agency from the Minnesota Lynx, and it was large part due to she was recruited by Paige and Arike to come play in Dallas. Obviously, Jess Shepard and Arike Ogunbowale played together at Notre Dame, so there's that connection. Jess Shepard has been able to thrive in her role in Dallas, and last offseason, the main question in the league was the Wings need front court depth, and they got exactly that by grabbing Jess Shepard in free agency. She is a consistent double-double. Consistent double-double. I mean, she's averaging 14 points a game and 11.5 rebounds. So, again, a phenomenal stat line. But she is able to take some of the pressure off of Arike and Paige scoring-wise, and it is just, she has allowed Dallas to become more dynamic in their offense. And I think Jess Shepard should be a WNBA All-Star starter this season. Now, you may be asking, Lauren, I don't know who Jess Shepard is. I feel like there are better options out there. Please turn on a Dallas Wings game. You'll see what I mean with her impact when she's on the court. And actually, recently, she's been on an absolute tear with Dallas. A huge part to why the Wings are off to their best start in franchise history since they were the Detroit Shock. So we are talking since the late 2000s. This is their best start. And Jess Shepard is a big part of why. So, that is 4 locks for WNBA All-Star, which means I have 2 more spots left on my ballot. Here's where it gets a little bit tricky, but I'm going to have to give my first nod to Angel Reese. Say what you want about her, but I think Angel Reese is a great basketball player. When talking about front court players and dominance, Angel Reese has to be in that conversation. She is a double-double machine. And as a post player, really, that's her number one job, is to get out there, rebound, clean up the glass, and score. And she's great at doing that. And Angel Reese, obviously, having been traded from Chicago to Atlanta this season, I think she's actually doing a lot better this year because she's able to play with better players around her. Obviously, Alicia Gray and Ryan Howard are both with the Dream, but Angel Reese has really given them a spark in the front court, and I think the Dream are a great basketball team. Obviously, right now they're second in the East, and a large part of that is because of the second chance possessions that they're able to get with Angel Reese on the court. Obviously, Angel Reese has a lot of haters, but you cannot deny the fact that she is a great basketball player. And I watched the Dream Fever game last night, and I just saw Angel Reese going out there, putting up 20 points, getting her double-double. Angel Reese is a good basketball player, and she should be an all-star starter this year. That then puts us with 5 players. Right now we have Asia Wilson, Aaliyah Boston, Brianna Stewart, Jess Shepard, and Angel Reese. And this is where it gets challenging, because when you're looking at the WNBA All-Star ballot, the WNBA, it's interesting to see what they classify as a guard versus a front court player. So when I was looking at the ballot, I saw that both Alyssa Thomas and Gabby Williams were actually listed as front court players, which I find very interesting. Now, some players that you should consider for this 6th spot, and really any of the spots. My first one's going to have to be Alyssa Thomas. It's not a secret that she's been absolutely amazing in this league for a long time. She's a triple-double machine. She's kind of the WNBA equivalent of Russell Westbrook. Like Thunder Russ, not now Russ, but Thunder Russ. She can get a triple-double. You look at her stat line, and she's averaging 14 points a game, 8 assists per game, and 7 rebounds a game. Just a huge impact player for the Mercury, and I know they're not off to the hottest start, obviously coming in as of now with a 4-12 record, which, isn't the best, but Alyssa Thomas is a great player. You cannot deny what she is doing for the Mercury, and she's also one of the toughest players in the league, because you look at that stat line and you're like, wow, she's doing all that, she's getting all those triple doubles, and she doesn't even have labrums in her shoulders. She doesn't have any labrums, which is so cool to see. Now, she doesn't really shoot much because of that. She's much more of a downhill, I'm gonna bully you inside type of player. A lot like Thunder Russell Westbrook, in my opinion. Their games are eerily similar. So definitely consider Alyssa Thomas for that last spot. Actually, on my ballot, I put her in for my 6th player. But here are some other players that you should pay attention to and vote that are going to be all-stars, but, maybe not starters. But if you want to vote them for starters, I wouldn't question your opinion here. One of those players is Gabby Williams. Gabby Williams has emerged as a star in the Bay Area with the Golden State Valkyries. And you may be asking, Lauren, who is Gabby Williams? Like, I've been seeing her name recently on ESPN because she is absolutely tearing it up in the Bay. But I haven't heard of her. What's her story? Gabby Williams has one of the coolest stories in the league, and it's just a story of pure resilience. So she played her college ball at Notre Dame and spent her first couple years in the league kind of being waived, making a roster, being waived, and just that pattern wasn't really ever to find her. She never really found her fit on a team. She actually plays for the French national team. Had an absolutely phenomenal Olympics in Paris, and that really put her name on the map for a lot of people. After coming back from the Olympic break, she was able to sign a contract with the Seattle Storm to finish out the season and became one of their main star players. She can score, she plays good defense. And then in the offseason, Natalie Nicase and the Golden State Valkyries picked her up. She got her bag with the new CBA, and she's been thriving from there. Her and Veronica Burton are why the Valkyries are able to do what they're doing as an expansion team in their second season. I mean, to see what Golden State has done in just their second season in the league is very impressive. And shout out to the fans at Valhalla. That is definitely really high on my bucket list for places where I want to see a game because they sell out so much. The energy is so hyped there every game. And a large part of their success is Gabby Williams. So definitely consider her when filling out your ballot. My next player that you should consider is Jonquel Jones. Jonquel Jones has been an MVP in this league, plays for the Liberty, successful player, is 6'6", can shoot, rebound, do all the things. She is a huge part to the Liberty's success, obviously. When you have Breanna Stewart, Sabrina Ionescu, and Jonquel Jones, you really don't know which of them is going to go off that night. And recently, in this season, Jonquel Jones has been having a great year, averaging almost a double-double. I think she will for sure be an All-Star. I hope she's an All-Star. She should be one. But you just don't know. I don't know if she'll be a starter, but she will be an All-Star. So please consider Jonquel Jones when you are voting. My next player that you should definitely consider when voting for front court players is Kiki Iriafen from the Mystics. Kiki Iriafen is in her second year in the league and is an absolute star in Washington. We know that Washington, yes, they are the youngest team in the WNBA, and it has shown this season, like you would expect from a young team, they have their ups and their downs, but Kiki Iriafen has definitely been a shining part to their team. I did consider her for my ballot, but just because of her recent ankle injury, and yeah, she's missed a couple games, and I don't really know when she'll be back. She should be back soon, but TBD. I decided that I would not put her down, but again, another double-double machine, averaging 15 points a game and 9 rebounds a game. Her and Sonia Citron have been very fun to watch in Washington, and Kiki Iriafen's game has translated perfectly from college to the pros. Again, another phenomenal inside presence for the Mystics, which they have a lot of because they have Shakira Austin and Lauren Betts and Angela Dugalich and so many amazing front court players. But Kiki Iriafen has been on a tear in her second season. She was phenomenal in her rookie year as well, but I think this year she deserves to be an All-Star and even in consideration for an All-Star starter. So that concludes my picks for front court. On my ballot, I went with Asia Wilson, Aaliyah Boston, Breanna Stewart, Angel Reese, Jess Shepard, and Alyssa Thomas. But those were my picks for All-Star. Those are the people that I think should be starters. Now moving on, let's talk about the guards, because when you only are able to pick 4 guards in the entire WNBA, stuff gets really, really hard. So, I'm going to do something similar to the forwards. I'm going to say my locks and then some other people that you should consider because there are so many great guards in the WNBA that deserve their recognition. Starting off with Olivia Miles. If you have watched any WNBA basketball this season or have tuned into any of the Lynx games, you know that Olivia Miles is an absolute dog. What she's able to do on offense, but also defensively, is so amazing. And she has thrived in her role as a rookie for the Lynx. Now, she was drafted second overall this season. A lot of people were like, yo, why are they going to pick Olivia Miles? Because the Lynx kind of need more front court depth. But the fans should have known better than to doubt Cheryl Reeve, the head coach of the USA basketball team, as well as, the GM head coach of the Lynx. And with a team that has had a legacy of winning, like the Lynx have, we should have known better than to doubt her. And Olivia Miles has turned out to be a phenomenal pick. If you have paid any attention to the WNBA in even just the past week, you've seen Olivia Miles put up 30 points multiple times. And scoring isn't even the most impressive part of her game. I think Olivia Miles embodies what a true point guard is. Obviously, she's able to score, get to the rim. She has very crafty finishes around the rim. But she also can shoot the 3 ball is good in the mid-range. She's a 3-level scorer. But I think the most impressive part of her game is actually her ability to facilitate. She is a pure point guard. Her passing ability. We saw glimpses of this, obviously, at TCU last season. But her work in the pick and roll and her ability to find her open teammates is what allows the Lynx to be so successful. They have the best record in the WNBA. And they were able to find a point guard, a true point guard. Because Courtney Williams, yes, she was playing point guard, but that's not her main position. Being able to find a true point guard that is able to complement the stars on the Minnesota Lynx, because there are a lot of them. Obviously, they have Nafisa Collier, Kayla McBride, Courtney Williams, so many good players, and Olivia Miles has just emerged as a star, and honestly, in my opinion, is in consideration for MVP this season. If she continues to do what she has been doing in this first half of the year, I think she has the ability to win MVP, which, as a rookie, is something that we have not seen since Candace Parker in 2008 with the Sparks. Olivia Miles is an absolute lock. She must be on your ballot, and she's just such a fun player to watch. So please tune into a Lynx game if you have the ability to. You'll see what I mean. My next lock for WNBA All-Star has got to be Kelsey Plum from the Los Angeles Sparks. Yeah, the Sparks are kind of your average 500 team, but Kelsey Plum has been tearing it up in LA. She was leading the league in scoring for a while, is second now. She is averaging 25 points a game with 6 assists, absolutely doing her thing in LA. And being able to kind of emerge as the first option on that team, having been traded from the Aces 2 seasons ago, she's really found her footing in LA. It's so cool to see somebody from San Diego be able to emerge as a star in the WNBA. Very, very cool. Kelsey Plum, prolific scorer, great 3-point shooter. I don't think much more needs to be said other than she needs to be a WNBA All-Star starter. My next selection for guards is who, yes, everybody was thinking of, Paige Bueckers. An absolute dog in Dallas. It is no secret that Paige Bueckers is one of the best players in the league. She's a great scorer, has given the Wings a spark, and her and Jess Shepard have been a big part of Dallas's success. She's able to score, she's able to pass, she can rebound, and I've seen Paige's defense get a little bit better, so, that's a highlight there too. Obviously, as a 6-foot guard, she has great length. Paige Bueckers has just been an amazing player for Dallas, and it's no secret she's been an absolute dog since she was in college. She's a no-brainer pick. And then my last one, the other player that everybody's been thinking of since I said I was talking about guards, is Caitlin Clark. Now, you might be like, Lauren, Caitlin Clark, isn't she having a down year? Like, she's been struggling a little bit from 3, which is true, which is very true, but she's still averaging 20 points a game, and not to mention her averaging 8 assists per game. And what the casual basketball fan doesn't understand, the fans that are just there for the flashy logo threes and the deep step back threes that Caitlin Clark is able to do that so many people love as part of her game. I personally love her ability to facilitate. Caitlin Clark is a phenomenal passer and has been since she was in college. I talked a little bit about, when I talked about Leah Boston before, I mentioned her 2-man game, her pick and roll game with Caitlin Clark. And Caitlin Clark's ability to be a threat as a shooter, but also as a passer, is why her teammates are able to succeed around her. Now, I want to take a WNBA role player like Sophie Cunningham, for example. Sophie Cunningham has actually been in the league for a very long time, right? She was with Phoenix for a very long time, and people didn't really know about her until she moved to Indiana. And because Caitlin Clark is such a great passer, and they need to worry about her and Kelsey Mitchell and Aaliyah Boston. Sophie Cunningham has been able to shoot threes at a consistent rate, has really been able to fill in that shooter role. So, yes, to the casual basketball fan, Caitlin Clark is having a down year. However, she's still able to get to the rim, she is still able to pass, and her impact on the court, like her presence on the court dictates so many defenses of what they decide to do. I mean, coverages look so different when she's on the court. And that's for good reason. That's because she's one of the best players. Adding on, yes, I watched like I mentioned before, the Dream Fever game last night where Caitlin Clark had 26 points, debuting her new Caitlin 1 shoes, which I know a lot of people online were hating on the all blue colorway, but personally, I really like them. I really like the Caitlin 1s. But yes, she is an impact player, is the face of the league, and deserves to be a WNBA All-Star starter. And she has a huge fan base, so obviously she will be voted. Like, I'm sure as of now, Paige Beckers or Caitlin Clark or Asia Wilson are probably number one in fan voting for All-Star. That would be my guess. And it's for good reason. All of them, they're great basketball players. So, those were my 4 guards that I put. But there are so many phenomenal guards in the WNBA. Here are a couple more that you should consider when filling out your bracket. I want to start with Sonia Citron from the Washington Mystics. And Sonia Citron, like Kiki Iriafen, is in her 2nd season in the WNBA and has been the star in DC. She can shoot. Now, at Notre Dame, she kind of flew under the radar because in her senior season, she played with Hannah Hidalgo and Olivia Miles when she was still there before she transferred to TCU. So a lot of people did not know about Sonia Citron's game. And now that she's able to kind of fill that number 1 option role with DC, it's been great for them. She's put up 30 multiple times. She's the face of their team and an absolute central part of their rebuild. Like, they have focused so hard in bringing in just amazing young talent to DC, and Sonia Citron is the center of that. I think, yes, she's averaging 17 points a game. She can shoot. Great 3-point shooter. Definitely should consider her when talking WNBA All-Star. My next player for consideration is Brittany Sykes from the Toronto Tempo. Lauren, who is Brittany Sykes? I am a casual basketball fan. I don't really know. Brittany Sykes, obviously, is the Tempo's 1st season in the league. Brittany Sykes has kind of been a journeywoman in the league for a while. She broke out a little bit last season. She started off the season in DC with the Mystics. Started off very well and then got traded at the deadline, All-Star break deadline, to Seattle and continued to play great over there, and then was not selected in the expansion draft, but she decided to go get her $1 million check and go sign with the Tempo in the offseason, and she has filled their star role. She can score. Again, all these players can score at this level. It's not a secret, but the Tempo has an expansion team. Yeah, they started off 500, but for an expansion team, that's very, very good. Her and Marina Mabry are why the Tempo are off to this good start. And you should definitely consider Brittany Sykes when voting for WNBA All-Star. My next player for consideration is Alicia Gray from the Atlanta Dream. Alicia Gray is a prolific defender, averaging 19 points a game, obviously can score. They all can. Alicia Gray has been tearing it up in the WNBA recently. Has been an All-Star the past couple seasons, will be an All-Star this year. I could see her being an All-Star starter. I just don't know how she'll do in the fan vote, considering that there's only 4 guards, and yeah, she's good, but her fan base isn't as strong as, Paige Beckers and Caitlin Clark, obviously. So it'll be interesting to see if she can get to the All-Star starter status. I don't know. And then my last pick for WNBA All-Star considerations is Kelsey Mitchell, a prolific scorer for the Indiana Fever. It's been no secret. I mean, she was in pure score in college at Ohio State. Actually, I think is third all time in NCAA D1 points, obviously behind Caitlin Clark and Kelsey Plum. Kelsey Mitchell averaging 21 points a game. Such a great compliment to Caitlin Clark and Aaliyah Boston on the Fever, and she should definitely be in consideration. A great scorer. If you watch Fever games, you know, when you have three stars like Kelsey Mitchell, Aaliyah Boston, and Caitlin Clark, you never know which one is going to go off. And Kelsey Mitchell has been their primary scorer this season. I mean, even just last night against the Dream, Boston, Clark, and Mitchell all had over 20 points, and it was great to see. And I think Kelsey Mitchell deserves some more recognition. So, on my ballot for guards, I went with Olivia Miles, Kelsey Plum, Paige Beckers, and Caitlin Clark. But there are so many phenomenal players in the WNBA. Please watch some games, make an educated ballot, and make sure you vote for WNBA All-Star because it's the most fun weekend of the season. It's great to see the best players play against each other, and I'm looking forward to the game this year in Chicago. Thank you guys for tuning in. I hope you have a wonderful day.